This is the third annual CSAD Global Readathon, honoring narratives from Africa and the African diaspora. This year's theme, Roots, the Journey of Us.
Now, of course, if you grew up here in Atlanta, you're definitely going to recognize our special contributor from anchoring news, but also from throughout, the community. She does it all. That role, the anchoring and journalist role, she held for 37 years, earned her a place in the history books, of course. According to GPB, she was the first person of color, first woman to hold the position in Atlanta, Georgia. Of course, the icon, my friend, Monica Pearson. Thank you
Good
for
to
being
see
here
you
again.
Suzanne.
The last time, I guess it was last year when we did this together, you said I had to write my own book,
Yes.
my own story. You made me promise to do that, right? I'm still working on it. I haven't really quite finished, but I did start.
You did start. You have an outline at least.
In my head. But I'm trying. Your story, right? So how did you start? Can you give us a little of your journey?
It started with my mother, who passed away in 2016. She grew up not knowing her father because when she was born, she was very fair. And my grandmother, with a lot of Indian blood in her, was more reddish. He was very dark brown. So, who knew about DNA back then? Yeah. So he immediately assumed that this was not his child.
Oh, no.
And took my mother's brother, who looked exactly like his father, to the country in Kentucky. So my mother always grew up saying, I don't know who my earthly father is, but I know who my heavenly father is. And before I die, I would like to know where I came from.
Wow.
So I was doing
Amazing.
a story with Andy Young, going to Senegal, which was beautiful.
Yes,
and I found out later that that's where my father's family came from, was Senegal. And then we did the DNA test.
Oh, boy.
And we found out that on my mother's side, the maternal side, I was from Cameroon, the Bamileke people,
Oh, okay.
who are
the
people who really are the craftsmen, the business people. And it's so funny, I was on a cruise over the Christmas holidays, and on the ship, and that night we had dinner with the purser. And he said that he was from Cameroon.
Oh, my
and
goodness.
I immediately said, well, the Bamileke people. And he all of a sudden got this look on his face. He was Bamileke. We exchanged numbers. And eventually, I am going to go to Cameroon to meet my people. So before my mother died, I was able to tell her that. And it gave her a sense of belonging. And she felt like she was no longer that, quote, bastardized child.
Yes.
That she really came from a strong people, that she really came from people who were intelligent, who were good business people. It made the difference in her life. And I was so glad to be able to do that for her.
That is so exciting. How did you take that? What did it mean for you?
Well, growing up, I was born in 1947, so I've lived through segregation to integration to resegregation to, I don't know where we are right now.
So I would have never guessed that, your age like that. I'm just saying.
But, I grew up in a time where, black is beautiful and all of that, so I was not really surprised. I was glad to know. And then when I went to Senegal and everyone kept speaking to me in French because of my P head, they thought I was Senegalese. And so it didn't surprise me, but it gave me that sense of belonging too, that I wasn't just Monica Jones who grew up in Smoketown in Louisville, Kentucky, but that I had a history and a heritage that I should be proud of. And I wish more people would do it.
Well, that's what I was going to ask next, is like, how do you take all that energy, that excitement out of the knowledge, right, that you've learned and your mother learned, and convince people that that is really important?
Because I think a lot of us have been raised to look on our history as being something negative. We think of slavery, and it was horrible. But you also need to remember the people who lived through that and produced us. We're very strong, intelligent, caring people. And that unless you know your history, and I guess we're going to be repeating this all day.
That's right.
If you don't know your history, then you do not know where you're going next. You do not know who you are, and you let other people define you. And that's the problem now. A lot of people are letting other people define them, when if you know who you came from and whose you are, You got it.
Yeah, and that's what we're doing here today.
Yes.
I want you to stand by because I know you're going to read. Do
And
some
I
reading
also want to
and-
talk to you about finding your roots.
Oh boy,
Because you thought you were French.
It's complicated. It's very complicated. Stand by for us. Stick around, and we're going to have more